Guys, it is Lessy here, and I'm super excited because today I'm going to be sharing with you how I met my husband. So, if you have been following me from the very beginning of my videos, and this is back in 2013, then you probably actually have heard bits and pieces of what I'm about to say then. Because many people don't know, but I started doing videos because I just wanted to share my journey as an engaged woman about to be married. So some of the stuff you might know. If you weren't following me back then this should be fairly new information. And I just hope that you enjoy. All right, let's dive right in. Okay, so it all started in 2007. So in 2007, May of 2007 actually, my sister came home from a youth retreat that was hosted by an organization that our church was a part of. And she came back telling me a bunch of stuff, like telling me about the retreat and whatnot. And one of the things she said was that there's this guy, he's a drummer and he is so dope. So I was like, all right, cool. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me at that time, but she really went on about how amazing this guy was on the drums. Now let's fast forward to later on that year, maybe about October, November-ish. At the time, I was the choir director at my church, and I needed somebody to play drums for me. So my sister reminded me about the guy she was telling me about, and soon after that, we ended up going to that organization that I mentioned. We ended up going to one of their services, and who was playing the drums? Chris. So, when we went to the service, she was just like, see, like, he's super dope. And it's so funny because I remember distinctly sitting in that service, watching him play, and I was like, oh my God, he is really dope. But all I could really focus on was his eyebrows, okay? So, my husband has really thick eyebrows. I don't even notice them now, which is hilarious, but all I could notice was his eyebrows. And I remember saying to myself, damn, that must suck. He probably gets no girls. Like, what? Okay. It's so ironic. But anyway, so I ended up asking him to play for the choir. And in turn, he did say yes. And he asked me if I needed a bass player. I didn't have one, so I was like, sure, why not? So him and the bass player play for the Christmas concert. It was amazing. And at the end of that, the bass player asked me to be a part of a group/band that he was forming called Anointed Musicians Movement. All right. So I'm going to pause really quick just to give you a fun fact. All right. So Chris's parents and my parents actually grew up together. They went to the same church. So both of our families are very familiar with each other. And it's crazy because now that, we're married and whatnot, I have memories of my father driving me to school and passing down Chris's block and then seeing his dad. So they stop and chit chat a little bit. And I'm just like, oh my God, like he was probably inside the house and I had no clue. And I didn't care at all either. But yeah, and at that point, or growing up, we only lived like 5 minutes away from each other driving. When we actually started dating, I had moved to Brooklyn, so yeah. But anyway, let's jump back in. So we are now in 2008. Like I said, I agreed to join AMM, Anointed Musicians Movement, and that was actually outside of my relationship with Chris. That was a life-changing season for me because it was in that season that I grew spiritually, and my walk with Christ was really strengthened and solidified. So now we're in 2008 in May, and what's coming up? The youth retreat. The same one that my sister told me about before. So at this youth retreat, the whole band actually ended up going. Now I'm going to give you just some reference so you know what's going on. At this point, I'm in a serious relationship with someone who I've been with at the time almost 3 years. I swore up and down that this was going to be my husband. He wasn't saved or anything, but I was one of those girls. It's okay, like we can work through that. I really love him, blah, 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 right? And at the time, Chris didn't have a serious girlfriend, but he had girls that he was talking to or whatever. And as the year had gone on, the band had become so super close, like super duper close. We're still actually all really good friends 10 years later. And Chris and I had gotten really close. Now, when I say really close, I mean platonic. Like, I had no interest in him. Remember the eyebrows? I wasn't feeling him. So yeah, that's where we were at this retreat. So the retreat happens, and there's a night in particular where the Lord spoke to me so clearly. It's the night that I rededicated my life to Christ. He spoke to me so clearly, and he told me to break up with my boyfriend. Gals and guys, whoever's watching this, I was just like, no, Lord, no, what are you saying? But I did. I obeyed. And I broke up with him. And this is going to sound crazy, but I broke up with him in May, so the end of May. And shortly after that, I started catching feelings for Chris. It's crazy. And then we actually ended up dating, making it official, boyfriend, girlfriend, August of that year. August 2008 was when we made it official. So that's how I met my husband. That's how we started dating. It is a bit crazy, especially when you add the information about, you know, me breaking up with my boyfriend and then being with him or getting with Chris like 3 months later. But I believe that it was all orchestrated by the Holy Spirit. There was no foul play. I wasn't with my boyfriend and, you know, messing with Chris. It was literally nothing like that. But I believe that it was seriously orchestrated by the Holy Spirit. And I think that if I did not obey in that season to break up with my boyfriend, I don't think that I would be married. Or if I would be, it wouldn't have been such a smooth transition. So it's really important to listen to the Holy Spirit. Listen to the voice of the Lord. If he is telling you to do something, if he's telling you to break up with him, break up with the guy. Trust me, he has better for you, and he had better for me. Thank God. So yeah, that's the story of how I met my husband. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if you do want to hear more things like this, please let me know, because I love sharing my life with you guys. So yeah. That's all for now. Thank you for listening. Bye.